Baptists have a heritage of religious freedom, and it is part of their DNA, so to say. And the paper I'm going to present is focusing on two main figures who give a witness or testimony of the strive for religious freedom and who have helped to spread the idea in their own historical context. The first person is Thomas Helwys in the 17th century, who in his treatise that was published in 1612, The Mystery of Iniquity, in the midst of a very diverse and different and even hardly understandable material to a certain extent, is offering an understanding of Baptist view of religious freedom. And he says that the freedom to believe and to follow Christ is the freedom of conscience, and the king should not interfere that. There is a certain realm that belongs to the king to decide, but there is a realm that God only can decide. This was something that actually could have changed the whole structure of the society. So it was not only about individual understanding of religious freedom and belief, but if it would have been implemented more widely, it would have changed the structure of society. Certainly this was opposed very strongly by the context and the powers where Thomas Helwys was living and proclaiming. And the second witness, so to say, is Julius Köbner from Germany, who was instrumental in planting Baptist churches in Denmark together with the German Baptist father, so to say, Johann Gerhard Oncken. And Köbner published his treatise and his little booklet that was called Manifesto of Primitive Christianity, that also reflected similar understandings. It's interesting that he is emphasizing that to change the society and to change the society for better, we need a Christian input and following of Christian discipleship. It is also interesting that what Köbner did was he titled his writing Manifesto, which clearly is reflected or is parallel to what Karl Marx had been doing a couple of years ago. So there was a clear attempt also to influence the society on a wider scale. Well, I think that Köbner certainly was much more influenced by the 19th century context where he lived, and was more interested in the changes in the society for the better. He had to face the changes that had been taking place already, and a gap between the classes, so to say. He's using the language that Marx is using, which is surprising to a certain extent, but he presses the point that the solution is going back to the early New Testament understanding of human relationships and social relationships. Well, I think that this is one of the main points about Baptist understanding of religious freedom, and this is that it is freedom to believe and religious freedom for all, not only for Christians but also for others. Helwys is using the word Turks, which actually refers to Muslims, and Köbner is using the word Mohammedans, which also reflects the language that Helwys is using. So even if there are a couple of centuries or 2.5 centuries in between of these two persons, the language is similar. I think some of the challenges could be derived from what Helwys and Köbner did, and certainly they were not the only ones, but they are two examples from history. And one thing is, who are the partners in this emphasis on religious freedom. In the 19th century, the København context, it was the Evangelical Alliance that had been established in London in 1846 and who tried to find partners in implementing and practicing religious freedom and also standing for religious freedom where this was hindered in different countries. So it was different evangelical organizations, but also appealing to or applying and turning to the governments for religious freedom of believers and religious freedom of those who wanted to practice their faith.